Earlier in the week, and we battled through some thunderstorms overnight and into the morning, and the rest of the day we're battling some gusty winds which will taper off towards the end of the day. So our teams are out there addressing any outages that are caused by gusty winds up to 45 miles an hour. So I want to thank our crews particularly who put in some overtime to make sure that we're restoring customers' power very quickly. I want to move my focus now to the cold temperatures, as the mayor said, that is rolling in over the next few days and will be with us through about Thursday of next week. And there's really three areas that I'd like to emphasize. First, with respect to the Memphis Light Gas and Water gas system, it's really in good working order. We've purchased and stored plenty of natural gas, and we expect that despite the increased demand for home heating and business heating, that we're going to be able to meet everybody's demand. And so that's good news for everyone, in addition to our very low gas rates. The second thing I want to focus on is the water system. It's also in very good shape. We have taken precautions well in advance to ensure that we can both produce, treat, and pump enough water to meet everyone's needs. But the risks are from extreme cold and prolonged periods of extreme cold that you could have burst pipes, whether that's in your residence, in a business, a fire protection system, or even the MLGW water mains. The risk of too many burst pipes is a drop in water pressure, and that's something that we want to avoid. And so I'm asking for your help to avoid that, and we can prepare now to ensure that we minimize the number of broken pipes. First, inside your home, we want to make sure that as the cold temperatures hit about Saturday night and into Sunday, that everybody opens the cabinets under their sinks in both the kitchen and the bathroom to allow some heat to get underneath those pipes. We'd ask that you start dripping water from all of your faucets inside the house. Outside the house, today is a really good day to stop by your hardware store and make sure you have a protection for that outside spigot so that the outside spigot doesn't freeze. And as importantly, we want to make sure that people know how to turn off your water to your home, whether it's inside the home or at the curb, in the event that you do have a broken pipe, to minimize damage that happens in your home or your business. For your personal preparation, I would suggest that between now and Sunday that you take the opportunity to fill some pitchers or other containers with water. So in the event there is a low pressure situation, you have some drinking water. We recommend about a gallon per person for cooking and for drinking. And as an extra precaution, in case we do get to a low pressure situation, you may want to fill a large storage container or perhaps your bathtub with some water. And why would you do that? So that you have some additional water for flushing the commode, because that's something we got into last time without enough water there. So take those extra precautions, and if nothing occurs, then you can use that water to water your plants later on. The other thing I'd like to talk about is the electric system and its impacts from the very extreme cold. That's going to lay across a very large portion of the southern and midwestern United States, and what that means is it's going to have an impact on the bulk electric system. Those are the people that produce electricity for local utilities like Memphis Light Gas and Water, and this cold weather is going to put real pressure on that electric system. Why? Because unlike Memphis, Tennessee, in many parts of the United States and the South, people use electricity as their source of heat. And as the temperatures drop, the demand for electricity goes up as people need more heat in their homes. And now, after last winter, everybody's made big improvements. We've added some new generation. We've winterized all of our generation stations. But there is likely to still be an impact because demand gets so high that there's a risk that we might not be able to meet that demand. And so if that happens, we're all going to have to take action. And it's likely that we will have to take action together during this period of time, sometime in the next 5 days. I think Tuesday morning is the likely first time that we will have to take action. The action that we will take is to issue an energy conservation alert. An energy conservation alert. What that means to you is a voluntary request that you cut back and curtail electric consumption to the extent that you can. Shutting off as many lights as possible, turning off and unplugging electric space heaters, avoiding using large appliances like your dishwasher, your washer, your dryer, and avoiding running other non-critical electric uses. And we would ask that you do that during the period of the alert. You can also turn down your thermostat in your home to 68. Number one, that saves on your heating bill, but number two, it keeps that blower motor from turning on, and that's a big consumer of electricity. I want to say that when we issue this alert, it's important we all take action together quickly to avoid something worse from happening. I don't expect this to happen anytime before Tuesday morning, but when I issue that alert, I'd ask for your cooperation, and I'd ask for us all to come together to reduce our electric consumption because it will save us a bigger headache. On Monday, I expect to have an update for you at about this same time because I'll know how the weather's unfolding and how the electric system's positioned. So we'll give you another update then so you'll know what to do. Folks will wonder what's some examples of electric use. Obviously, everybody knows a 100-watt light bulb. That's a big consumer, so you could turn off some of those. But your dryer's 5,400 watts or 5,400. That's like 54 light bulbs. So look at the large appliances. Those are the things we can do. If together all 400,000 of our MLGW customers could reduce 1,000 watts, so 10 light bulbs, one large appliance, that's the same as the energy produced by a small electric generation plant of 500 megawatts. That's a huge impact. So don't think that your contribution doesn't matter because what we all do together adds up and make sure it can make a big dent. The last thing I'll say is if you have an issue, please call our emergency line, like a burst pipe and you can't get your water off, please call us at 528-4465. If you need information or more information about how to get prepared for the winter, you can go to our website, mlgw.com/residential/winter tips. And you can find an array of tips there for you. So this is not a time to panic, it's a time to prepare. And what we're doing is forecasting. You have plenty of time to get prepared for the cold weather, and we'd like you all to do that so that together we can successfully get through this very cold period that we're about to face. So with that, we do expect some snow to come into the area on Monday, and that's going to impact the roads and your ability to drive. So I'd like to turn it over to Robert Connect now, the Director of Public Works, to talk about his part of the emergency response. Robert.
Thanks, Doug, and good afternoon. As President McGowan alluded to, our focus in the coming days will be on our roads and our streets and our bridges. The city has continually monitored the weather as we normally do to determine what course of action would be applied in our snow and ice operations. Given the current forecast and predictions, we see a window of opportunity to do some proactive measures, which is our anti-icing. So we will be starting tomorrow morning applying salt brine across the network of our bridges and overpasses and our major thoroughfares with the goal to accomplish as much coverage during that time as we possibly can. The more we are able to apply to those systems and those networks, it's better in our ability to address future inclement weather conditions. Over that next period of time, into Monday morning, we have already our fleet of salt trucks ready to respond. Those will be put into place. We have already set staff in motion in terms of having staffing already scheduled to work and placing that equipment into service as soon as the conditions require us to do so. Our plan, as always, is to continuously operate over that period of time as necessary to ensure that we are not ever addressing the safety components of our roadways for motorists. It's also important to remember that given the city size and its network, our focus is always on prioritization of our infrastructure. So what do we mean by that? Our first priority is always to overpasses and bridges and inclines and declines on major roadways. We do not have the capacity to treat all of our 6,700 miles of roadways, so we prioritize those networks. Then we have a secondary protocol where we will then work on areas essential to public emergency services, so hospitals, fire stations, and police precincts will also get attention as we have the capacity to do so. We do ask the public to be careful, and if they could avoid driving, obviously when the weather conditions are poor and that it is very dangerous to drive, to avoid driving as much as possible. And as President McGowan alluded to, your proactive actions are really important during this next few days so that we can ensure everybody is, done what they can in advance of the weather conditions. If any situation changes regarding to any actions, as Mayor alluded to, please monitor the city's website, and more future media publications and notices will come out in respective to any of our operations that may be modified or altered given the weather conditions. And I know turning it over to our Greg Wayman, who's our manager of OEM, Office of Emergency Management, who will talk about other actions and protocols the city will be turning over, especially as it involves our warming centers. Greg?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As Mayor Young spoke to, the city has a plan in place to mitigate and respond to any effects we may see from winter weather that moves in over this weekend. And as President McGowan and Director Connect talked about some of those mitigation measures. That doesn't mean we won't face challenges in the coming days. We will face some challenges if we do get the precipitation and the cold that they're talking about, but we do have a plan to lessen those challenges and respond to those challenges should we face that. And we've been working all week long. I sent heads up emails last weekend, been working interdivisional with the city and the county all week to develop these plans. Amongst those plans that we have in place, and something we want to focus on this afternoon, is warming centers. We will open warming centers in partnership with our partners at Hospitality Hub, because this is what they do. They serve this specific population very well. We will open warming centers beginning tonight. Tonight at 7 p.m., there will be a warming center open, and I want to make a distinction here in two centers. 590 Washington at Hospitality Hub will welcome women and children, as well as families. That includes single fathers with children. Single men will be welcomed at 915 Chelsea. That's the Dave Wells Community Center. Beginning at 6:30 tonight, they may call the number listed for MATA. We've put that number out via social media, via standard media. It's on the city's website. Anyone in need of transportation to one of these centers can call that number. MATA will pick them up at their location. They don't have to go to a bus stop. They don't have to go to any specific location. Wherever they're located, MATA will come and pick them up and bring them to that center. Now, tomorrow we will get into the 40s during the day. So that center is going to open at 7 o'clock tonight and run until 11 on Saturday, at which time it will close and allow them to regroup. It will reopen at 7 p.m. Saturday night, and the plan is now it will run continuously until further notice, because Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday is when we're looking at those extreme frigid temperatures. So both of those sites will remain operational for 24 hours throughout that time. Thank you.
Yeah, we're welcome to take any questions from anybody. Oh, I'm sorry. Matt is here, Representative Gary, President.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Gary Rosenfeld with MATA. We will customer and passenger safety, employee safety is our number one priority, as is every day that we operate. But we will be making service adjustments. We would direct the public to our website, matatransit.com, for updates on what services are available. Beginning on Monday, it's a designated holiday. We'll be operating what is considered a Saturday schedule for Monday. That's for the fixed route service. The on-demand services will not operate. The paratransit services will deliver life-saving trips that includes dialysis centers and destinations of that nature. We will, customer service is available. The telephone number is 6282. Once again, 901-274-6282. The best information will be on our website, matatransit.com. Customers are also encouraged to download our app so that they can track buses, so that they can see where the buses are, so that they're not waiting out for extended periods of time in the extreme cold. Service will be adjusted based on our ability to deliver the service, so we encourage people to use that tracker and use that service. Thank you very much.
So back to our questions. Anybody have questions, please?
I've got a question for President McGowan. Sure. You talked about, voluntary conservation, when you put out
Yes.
that order, you know, you kind of alluded to, you know, a bigger headache after that. Can you talk about the possibility of rolling blackouts?
We think we're well positioned across the Tennessee Valley. TVA is our electric provider, but all of the bulk energy providers are connected and share energy when they need to. So there's already been broad coordination. This is out of an abundance of caution, and so you'll recall in December when we had to do the rolling blackouts, there was no warning, there was no ability to ask anybody to conserve. So without getting into too many details, there's a reserve margin of excess generation that all electric providers have. And as we get close to that reserve margin, that's when we might be asked to take action. Long before customers are asked to take action, they will import additional power. They will ask large consumers like large businesses to cut back on power. And so with all of those layers and with this much warning, and as we are all watching it together, and remember, this is a very different situation than last December. Last December, in 6 hours, the temperature dropped 40 degrees. This is a slow-moving air mass, and so we all know in advance, and so we can all be prepared, watch the weather, and say, okay, it's time for us to take conservation measures. TVA has about 37,000 megawatts of power, so if you think about that, Memphis is 3,500. We are at our peak, we're about 10%. If everybody was just to save about 10% on their energy, then we have plenty of additional energy here. So I don't see that risk being high. You can never eliminate it, especially if we take proactive actions and if everybody collectively reduces their use. So I think we're in much better condition than we were last year because of preparation, because of additional generation, and because last year they also had some of their electric generation plants go offline because of freezing rain and sleet that froze them up. They've all been protected, and we're not going to look at that kind of precipitation right now. So I think that kind of a risk is low, especially if we all cooperate.
And a quick follow-up, you know, last year, or in December, from what I recall, y'all were able to remotely shut off some of those substations. Then there were issues bringing them back online remotely. Have y'all worked out those?
Yes, MLGW has invested heavily in winterization of those to ensure that we remotely command our circuit breakers. Again, we hope that we don't have to do that, but we've exercised that heavily over the year to ensure that they operate appropriately.
Are there
Yes, ma'am.
particular parts of town or neighborhoods that you're most high alert for in terms of blackouts or in terms of the power going out and electricity issues?
No, not for cold. So there's always some areas that have reliability issues due to old infrastructure, but and again, I want to emphasize that we're not talking about doing any kind of rolling blackouts now. We are talking about a conservation alert during this period of time. But as everybody understands, there is a rote process for those blackouts should we need to do them, and it's not based on any one particular area of town or their reliability. So there's a very specific process that we go through for that. But again, focus on preparation, focus on conservation, and we don't have to worry about getting there. So, yes, ma'am.
President McGowan, we have just over 1,400 people without power right now, to be customers without power. Do we have an ETA on restoration?
Sure.
And also, we've had some viewers call the newsroom asking if the outage map online is accurate.
So I'll answer the second question first. It is accurate, but it's accurate at that moment in time. And let me just give you a snapshot of how dynamic it's been today. We had no outages. The windstorm kicked up late last night, early this morning. We had a peak of about 4,000. In about 30 minutes, we had that down to 1,600. In about an hour, we had that down to about 800. And then we had it down to 400 by 11 o'clock. The winds gusted up. We had one circuit to go out, so it was back up to about 4,000. That cycle continued several times before I came here. It had popped up, a circuit dropped off of about 2,300 customers. And as I walked in the door, it was down below 800. So as they pop up, our teams are taking care of them, and so we're in good position. The winds are going to be still pretty gusty through about 6 o'clock tonight, then they're going to taper off. What customers should take is that we're staying on top of those, and as they pop up, our team is immediately there trying to restore the power. So it hasn't been as if they've been off for the whole time. They're off for a short period of time. We go fix that. What's typically happening is the wires are slapping together because of the wind, or a branch is hitting the wires, and we can go out and reset that fuse and get them back on quickly.
Anybody probably can answer this question. We're trying to make sure that our viewers know what to do today and
you know, we always caution citizens to monitor the weather, obviously. You know, we often see, you know, individuals concerned about food supply and things like that. So it's always at their best judgment to make sure that they have adequate supplies in their home in case they do need to be limited ability to leave or go anywhere if conditions do cause disruptions in transportation. So we do advise citizens to look at what their normal needs are and to make accommodations and allowances based on that. You know, President McGowan also had some excellent suggestions about having, you know, extra water and extra potable water and other water sources available in case there is a potential need there as well. Obviously, blankets, batteries, other items are potentially useful, even if candles and other things and lighting sources can be utilized. So it's important to, you know, utilize some of the, you know, other recommendations that we push out into the public and just make them aware of that.
A follow-up question to that. Some people may have not even turned their heat on until this weekend. Is there any concerns, you know, people turning on their heat right now, if they don't have good infrastructure, could that cause carbon monoxide or fires, anything like that?
Well, everybody should ideally have a carbon monoxide detector in their home because, as you say, that does potentially happen. If you rent property, you know, then that is another situation where, you know, you need to obviously understand or know if it's safe for your family or you to be in there. So obviously, if you're concerned, you know, now we are approaching a holiday weekend. As soon as they do concern about the heat not working, they need to call and notify us at 311 so code enforcement can go out and take action to make sure that that is restored, or those are considered emergency conditions, obviously. So we do want to take an opportunity to address it, but we have to know about it first. And then obviously anybody who has the capacity, you know, and they haven't had their heating system checked out, they should hire a licensed contractor to come and inspect their system if they are concerned about it, so that they can be assured that it doesn't pose any risk to their family.
Now, we have some people in Memphis who may have their power off due to finances. Will you guys be temporarily turning them back on for them, or?
So we have a winter kind of holiday moratorium, and when the weather gets cold, we don't have a cutoff. We suspend any cutoffs for lack of payment, and so we endeavor to get today with the outages and with the customers to make arrangements so that their power can be on when it's cold, because we understand that's a condition that is potentially life-threatening. So yes, we're making every effort to get everybody's power on, no matter the circumstance.
And do they have to call to?
Sure, we would, especially if your power's off and you're concerned that we don't know about that, you should call and let us know.
President McGowan,
Yes.
I guess one last question. When it comes to the water mains, how confident are you that those are going to hold? Because I remember it was December 22. That was a really big problem throughout the city. How confident are you in those? And then should they start breaking, how confident are you for like a quick repair time?
So a couple of things. In December of 22, the problem was not the MLGW water mains, it was the more than 100 fire protection systems that had burst inside buildings. In buildings that were not, like if you think about the commercial appeal building on Union Avenue, I think that's something that everybody understands. They have a 6-inch fire protection main there. That burst and was running at full, at 20 PSI or more for more than 2 days. That's 4 million gallons of water per day. So multiply that times 100 of those, and that's 200 to 400 million gallons of water. And we usually consume here, we push out about 120 million a day. Last winter, we were pushing out 260 million gallons of water to try to meet the need. But we did have some MLGW water mains break, and we were out there repairing them. You all should know that so far this winter, just in the last 2 weeks, we've had 64 mains break from small to large. The only indication that some people saw was some discolored water because our team went out there and repaired the break. So there will be breaks. Typically they're going to happen after the freeze and the weather starts warming up and the ground gives way, and that's when the water's going to find its way out. But any kind of a water break, and in December of last year, we had about 10,000 homes that had broken pipes. We had all of those fire protection systems, and yes, we did have some water main breaks. All of those conspired to cause us to lose the pressure. Much better monitoring system this winter with those fire protection systems, some proactive action with building owners, and an inventory of buildings that don't have monitored fire protection systems. There's nothing we can do to monitor our water mains, but there will be some breaks, and our team is on standby to fix them.
Well, I want to thank all of you for coming out today. As noted, we will have another press conference on Monday to provide an update, and we will consider this the end. Thank you all for coming out. Have a good one.